Do you need to be able to read music in order to improve your guitar skills? Hey guys, what's up? My name is Matt Friedland. I'm a professional musician, guitarist, music educator, and founder of the 360 Music System. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications so you never miss a video or a live stream. In this video, I'll share with you 3 reasons why you need to be able to read music if you want to achieve musical freedom on the guitar. Be sure to stick around till the end where I'll share with you some highly effective ways that you can get started learning to read music and take your guitar playing to the next level. Is being able to read sheet music a necessary skill if you want to achieve musical freedom on the guitar? Now, you've probably heard of several successful musicians who have said that they don't know how to read any music or don't even know anything about music theory. For example, Paul McCartney or Jimi Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan or people like that. One of my musical heroes when I first got started playing on the bass guitar was Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he even claimed that he didn't know what any of the notes were, the numbers, couldn't read music at all.
What you're doing here is stream of consciousness. It's improvisation.
That's all I know how to do is improvisation because I can't read music at all.
Understood.
And I don't know anything about, all the letters and the numbers and stuff. So all I can do is spontaneously improvise.
So I thought if Flea couldn't read music, and a lot of my favorite bands claim that they couldn't read music, like Pearl Jam or Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, I never saw any music stands on stage with them. If they couldn't read music, I didn't see any need for me to be able to read music either. Typically, when you're getting started learning the guitar, or in my case, the bass guitar and then moving into guitar, we typically start by learning songs off of guitar tabs, and then eventually we'll move into maybe chord diagrams or diagrams for how to play scales and things like that. And that's totally cool. I jammed with a lot of musicians and even found myself playing in bands and doing gigs and doing shows. And that was all really great. And I was able to do all that without being able to read music at all. So I'm not saying that you need to be able to read music in order to actually play. In fact, I think the best thing to focus on when you're just getting started is the playing. Tabs are totally fine. Looking up songs and learning songs first is a great way to get started to get your facility under your fingers. Now, after I've been playing for about 1.5 years, I finally came to a point where I realized if I wanted to get to the next level musically, I'd have to understand what I was doing on the instrument. And I decided to start studying with some guitar teachers. They taught me some great things like, scales, how chords worked in a key, maybe some licks. And very importantly, we used to jam or play a lot together, and I gained a lot of experience by playing with them to understand how the music came together, and that was one of the most fun things. But the weird thing was that they never talked about reading music, and they never showed me how to read music at all. So again, I thought there was just no need to be able to read music. You could just learn these other things, and you could just make music without it. As I gained more experience playing and more knowledge about theory from my guitar teachers, I started to notice something about the really good musicians that I had the opportunity to jam with. What I discovered about those great players that I had the opportunity to jam with is that they all knew how to read music. So the first reason why you should learn how to read music is because all the best players know how to read music. When I jammed with these higher caliber musicians, it was really great. I mean, I learned a lot, and playing with great players and better players is going to help you immensely. But what started to happen was they eventually got bored with me and my playing because I just wasn't up to their skill level. In some cases, they didn't even want to play with me at all because of my inability to read. They just didn't think I was up to their level and I could hang with them. I just hated that feeling. I mean, I just wanted to be able to play with anyone in any style or any genre because it was such a great experience and I just love music. And at first I thought these guys who were higher caliber musicians who could read, that they were like arrogant or they were snobs, and just because I couldn't read music didn't mean I couldn't play and they should blow me off. But as I continued to play music with other people and study, what I found is that more people that were really good, they just knew how to read music. One of my favorite bands when I was growing up as a kid was the Dave Matthews Band. And they were an awesome band, but essentially kind of like a garage band where those guys really didn't read music. And that's how I function a lot when I played in a lot of bands, and many people do. But there was an interesting interview that I found with the band that credits their success at about their 3rd or 4th record to their ability to read music and have musical charts.
I think these songs we've done have been like the best songs we've ever recorded, I think.
The best songs, Carter, you've ever recorded?
I think so. Number one, because we not only
are treated as a good band, but we're being treated as good musicians. We got charts with this one, baby.
And how does that make you feel?
Professional. Makes me feel like a professional.
In fact, even Flea would go on to enroll at the music program at USC to become a better musician, learn how to read and understand how music worked. I mean, hearing this just kind of further confirmed to me that reading was really important if I wanted to get to the next level. Now, the second reason why you should learn to read music is because it will allow you to process information much more effectively. Now, you might have heard musicians refer to music as a language, and I agree 100% with that. If you're able to read standard notation, your ability to absorb massive amounts of information is going to be much higher than if you couldn't read at all. In other words, if you can't read, you're essentially illiterate. So think of it this way. Let's say you were asking me for directions to the closest music store, and I said, sure, no problem. I started to give you the directions, and I said, first what you want to do is you want to get to Jackson Street and make a left. And then from there, you're going to get to Dobson Street, and then you're going to make a right. And you take Dobson for about 4 miles, and then at 4 miles, you're going to hit a light, and then you're going to get to James Street, and then you're going to make a left. Keep going on James Street for about 3 miles. You'll see a complex on your right-hand side, and what you're going to do is you want to turn into a McDonald's where you see that complex. Once you get into the complex, just keep going around till you drive past the McDonald's into the back. You're going to have to make a left because the music store is kind of in the back. And then what you can do is you'll see it right there, just park on the right-hand side and you'll reach your destination. How much of that information are you actually going to retain, and or how likely is it that you'll get lost on your way over to the music store? So let's say that I wrote those directions out for you or even gave you a map. Your ability to read those directions is going to allow you to get to your destination much more quickly and effectively. That's what will happen if you can read music. Your ability to process information will be much higher, and you'll be able to much more effectively reach your musical goals and eventually reach more musical freedom. The third reason why you should learn to read music is because it unlocks the path towards your musical freedom. Eventually, I would run into playing with musicians who were more advanced and more into playing creative music or writing their own music or jamming or improvising. I then started to realize that if I wanted more musical freedom and the ability to interact and engage with those players, those types of players, that I would need to start studying music theory in more detail. I was pretty much a self-taught musician for the first 1.5 years or so of my playing, and I got pretty far on my own, but eventually I hit a wall. So at that point I decided I needed to start studying with some guitar teachers to start filling in my knowledge about how music worked so I could play with other people more effectively. I gained a lot from those guys, but there were still things that I couldn't comprehend that I was still missing. For example, things like the modes or complex chords like G major 7, sharp 11, or B flat 7, flat 9, flat 13. I later realized that if I wanted to know how the modes worked or how advanced chords were built, that I would need to be able to read music to fully comprehend how those things actually worked and assimilate it into my playing. Once I started studying with more advanced teachers, the pieces of the puzzle started to come together very quickly. So concepts like the modes or advanced chord construction became really easy at that point because of my ability to read music. The other great thing about learning to read music was that it made me aware of other concepts that I had no idea about beforehand. For example, the rhythmic side of standard music notation. Once I got into that, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities to improve a variety of different things in my playing. For example, my phrasing, timing and feel, improvisational skills, and the ability to learn other songs much more quickly. So reading music is not necessarily about just reading notes on a page. It really is giving you the ability to process information that translates into a variety of immensely impactful skills for your playing. So if you'd like to start improving your reading skills for music so you can become a better musician and have more freedom on the guitar, I can share with you some tips about getting started. The first thing that I can recommend is you have to commit to learning how to read. That's what I told myself when I was about to take on that endeavor. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this on because I know that it's going to be beneficial to me in the long run. So number one, you have to commit. And if you're like me, you already enjoy playing your guitar pretty much every day. So if you're already spending time playing the instrument, why not take some of that time that you're already spending and commit it to learning how to read music? Now, you might be thinking that learning to read music is a really hard thing and it's challenging and it takes a lot of time and that kind of stuff. And I felt the same way as well. But in reality, if you only spend about maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes of your time playing the guitar, working on your reading in a variety of different ways, that you can be highly effective in that approach and gradually start to be able to read more fluently. It's the same way where we learn how to read English, for example. We just read it every day and then we take it for granted. It's just there. We just see it over and over again and eventually it becomes, assimilated into our lifestyle. It's just normal. We don't think about reading. Reading music is no different. So if you take the time every day, about 10 or 15 minutes, you can learn the skills to be able to read. There's no shortcut. If you learn how to read, you're going to be able to achieve that musical freedom and there's just no shortcut around it. Now, the second tip or suggestion I can make about getting started improving your reading skills is to find a good teacher that can help you through that process. Although you could learn how to read music on your own, it's quite challenging. So if you have a good teacher, and I believe a good teacher should know how to read music, they can walk you through that process much more efficiently and effectively. In my musical career, I've studied with over 40 music teachers, from mostly guitar teachers, but from drum teachers, bass teachers, music theory teachers, composition teachers, and they all really helped me learn how to read and apply the reading in a variety of different ways. The thing about learning to read music, and particularly from good teachers, is once you have that skill, you'll have it for the rest of your life and it'll just empower you musically. Now, the third tip or suggestion I can make about getting started learning to read music is finding a good system that allows you to learn to read, but in a fun and creative kind of way. I remember my very first guitar teacher that I ever took lessons from. I've been playing for about a year and a half or so, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to audition for a music school in the Philadelphia area, which is where I was from originally. And I studied with this teacher. He was a classical guitar teacher, and he was showing me how to play jazz standards and giving me sheet music for jazz standards in lead sheet format. And he'd say, okay, go home and learn this music and we'll go play it in the next lesson. But he never really showed me how to go about it. So I would go home with the music, I'd try and write the notes above the letter names above the notes and things like that, and try and put it together on my guitar, but I really had no idea what I was doing. And I spent hours trying to figure this out, and I was just really struggling and just kind of hitting walls and failing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try my best. I'll go to the next lesson. I'll show my teacher what I've been working on and ask him for some help. And then what ultimately ended up happening is I bring what I worked on back to him, and he would just get mad and frustrated at me because I wasn't able to put it together. And it basically just made me feel like I was an idiot. But I knew I wasn't stupid. I just knew that he wasn't really giving me a good method for how to actually learn this stuff. There just really wasn't a clear system that moved me forward. So it's imperative that I found with my other teachers that you find a system that actually helps you with your creativity in learning to read and makes you feel good about the whole process, and that they guide you through a step-by-step process of learning how to read. So if you've been playing guitar for a certain amount of time where you know how to play some songs, you can play along with recordings, maybe you know some scales, you know some chords, you've improvised a little bit, maybe you've written your own music a little bit, maybe you've been in a band. If you really want to get to the next level musically and actually achieve musical freedom, I highly recommend that you start considering learning how to read music. Now, if you've started getting into reading music a little bit or studying music theory and are looking to maybe test to see where do you stand with your music theory knowledge, I have a free quiz that you can take to gauge your score and your skill level. Just click the link below and it'll take you to that free quiz on the next page. So if you enjoyed this video or got value out of this video, please like it or share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel, or click the bell notification to get notified when new videos come out.